So you're a Delaware firefighter or EMT, and you're working full-time, and you're thinking, hey, you'd like to buy a house, but you're not sure if that's ever possible. Well, in today's video, I'm going to explain to you exactly what you need to do in order to make it happen step by step, so home buying can be reality for you in 2025. Hey, my name's Austin Gardner. I am a Delaware Realtor, and I have overseen over 700 transactions the last 8 years. But besides that, I'm also a Delaware firefighter and EMT, both on the volunteer and paid side. And I've done that for over 10 years as well, working as far north as Station 13 and as far south as 76. So I know a thing or two about both of these worlds and how to make it possible in order for you to buy a house. So I'm going to go over what you need to do in order to get qualified, how to buy on a budget, and some incentives that might be applicable to you to make this process a little easier. So first off, we're going to talk about getting qualified, and the biggest hurdle I see most of us face is our job history, in part because it also affects our income. You may work full-time at one station, or you may station hop and work part-time at a bunch of different stations or at one, but have it add up to full-time hours. So how do you get qualified with that? Well, if you are listed as a full-time employee, and you've done that for 12 months or more, we can use that as your income. But if you're a part-time employee, whether it's part-time hours or full-time hours still, but you're classified as part-time, you will need 2 years of income on your taxes for us to count that as income for you. Same thing with the overtime you would get at your full-time station. You need 2 years of that to count as part of your income at the end of the day. As a caveat with that, if you work part-time at a bunch of different places, in order to maximize your buying power, here's what I would advise. Let's say you work part-time at Station 82 and Station 42, and last year you got another $15,000 you made at 82 and only $5,000 at 42. I would highly encourage you to put that next year's worth of availability into Station 82 in order so we can show on your taxes, out of 82, we made the most money because they're going to average those 2 years together on what you made at that one station to say, hey, 82 on average is going to give me X amount. So if you jump from making a bunch of money at 82 and then next year at 42, they're going to average those two amounts on those two stations separately, and it's going to say, well, you barely made any over here this year, so really, you're not making much. I know it's a little complicated, but that would be the best advice I could give you. Number 2 is debt to income ratio. So those are monthly obligated debts you have to pay. Think of things like car loans, student loans, credit cards. We all get some of these or all of these happening. What I will advise is this. If you're a Delaware firefighter and EMT, do not, under any circumstance, go buy that super expensive truck, car, etc. that's going to give you that $700, $800, $900 plus payment a month, because that's going to affect your qualification amount. You might be able to say, hey, I'm good with doing that, but the mortgage company is going to be like, nah, you're not. So avoid doing that until after you buy a house. House comes first, car comes second. And lastly, with that debt to income ratio, if you do have some credit cards you need to pay off, I would advise paying them down to about 30% of what you owe on that card in order for it to increase your credit score slightly. That's a good percentage to reach for when it comes to your credit cards, so don't pay all of it off, but get to about 30%. Up next, let's talk about buying on a budget. I don't know about you, but when I was working 40, 60, 70 hours a week, I was trying to save as much money as possible to keep it in my bank account, and I want to do the same thing for you when it comes to buying a house. So, loan options. We've got 3 main options to pick from. First is if you were prior military and you qualify, go with a VA loan. That's almost always going to be your best option. Up next is USDA. If you're looking to buy in Kent and Sussex County, since it's applicable in these counties, that requires a 0% down payment, which is awesome. And if not, going with an FHA loan, that's a 3.5% down payment. And no worries, if you don't have those funds available, well, we can request DSHA, the State Housing Authority, to pay that for you on your behalf as a second loan. The second thing you need to be worried about when it comes to trying to save money in the home buying process is closing costs. Those are fees associated with buying a house all wrapped up into one term. So think realtor fees, lawyer fees, mortgage fees, appraisals, inspections, transfer tax, all of that. Realistically, here in Delaware, that's going to run you about 8% of the purchase price. So on a $300,000 house, that's going to cost you about $24,000. Now, if you don't have that, what we do is this. I'm going to go and approach the seller, and one of the negotiating points we're going to ask for is, hey, can you cover this for my buyer because they're unavailable to do it or just don't want to do it themselves? Typically speaking, I can get most of my buyers to get that one to happen depending on circumstances. But again, that's when I come in as a realtor to get things done at the end of the day. Last but not least, the other thing we need to worry about is your good faith deposit. That happens when you and the seller go on a contract for you to buy the house. That just shows to the seller you're a real person and not Joe Blow off the street about to screw with them and not actually get the house sold at the end of the day. Those funds are still yours to use for down payment or closing costs at the end of the day. However, if you do back out a contract outside of terms inside that contract, so that means outside your mortgage contingency, your inspection contingency, maybe you just say, I don't know, the house got some bad vibes, that seller gets to keep it. So when we submit an offer and you're ready to move forward, make sure the house has good vibes, I guess. And now, last but not least, incentives when it comes to buying. There are a couple things you should be aware of. One is there is sometimes a program available here in Delaware called the Delaware Diamonds. It is connected with the Delaware State Housing Authority. It's one of those grants I'd mentioned earlier. What that does is if you're a first responder like you and me, you can potentially qualify for them to give you $10,000 to utilize as part of your down payment or closing costs as a forgivable loan that is paid off essentially $1,000 a year for the 10 years that you live in that house. And it's a good option if there is funding available and you do qualify. Another incentive to look into is the district you're looking to move into. Are there incentives for you to live there and or for you to be a volunteer? As an example, here in the 42 local, if you're an active member of the department, you get up to $1,000 credit off your city taxes, which can save you a lot of money at the end of the day, but you need to be aware of what local districts offer, if anything. And there we have it. From firefighter EMT to firefighter and EMT, I have shown you the baby steps on how to go through the buying process and what it takes in order to make it happen. Hopefully, I kind of gave you some good advice and guidance today to get the ball rolling. And if you're curious on how to do that, I'm more than happy to talk to you. Obviously, I've been there, done that, and I'm here to be of service to you as a fellow brother and sister in public safety. If you'd like to do that, my contact information is below. Feel free to reach out. And if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and notification bell so you get notified when I put new awesome videos out like this. And as always, have a fantastic day. See you guys soon.